I'm not going to talk a whole lot today. I'm going to ask other people to help fill me in because I know the only way you get over this is you stop talking. So I need to, at some point, stop talking. So anyway, thanks for being here this afternoon. We're going to start out first. I don't think Joanne is here, so I will start out. We had a great presentation at the board meeting last night by Tim Lockman about what's going on with online learning. We're going to ask Tim to kick us off today.
Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Friday, kind of. It is funny, isn't it? Especially for those of you who are planning tomorrow. Yeah, it's not exactly Friday. I just wanted to share with you, actually Lori asked me to share with you what I've been up to lately. I have some new duties as an instructional designer. My job hasn't changed. I'm still a librarian. But I've received some release time during my work week to do some work as an instructional designer supporting online instructors, giving them training and support to help enhance their online courses. So I wanted to share kind of what I've been doing and a little example of what an instructor did in one of our training sessions recently. I thought you might like to see that. So first of all, online learning has been identified as an institutional goal for the college. We want to expand our online course offerings, that is, make new courses, which we've already begun to do, and enhance the ones we already have. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing right now. And also, along with that, put into effect some kind of structure to help ensure that our new courses we're offering and our current ones are of the best quality. And part of that effort is also tasked to the Online Learning Committee, of which I'm a member. This is a pretty new committee on campus, and we're doing this sort of work too. So what I do and what we do with online learning goes right hand in hand together. My role then is, along with what we just talked about, to train and support instructors to show best practices that they can apply in their own teaching, and also to develop some sort of quality assurance structure. We have an online course checklist that we've used for years, but we'd like to like to start using something a little more formal. And so we're looking into something that they're piloting at Harper College this semester with some of their online courses. They've got an online course rubric that helps you step by step kind of say, where am I with my online course? Is there any ways I can improve it? And it gives you some help with that. So we're looking into a way to do that. In order to find out what our online instructors need here on campus, along with Matthew Kroll, I put together an online course or an online instructor survey that was put out earlier this semester. And we got some results from that. That was full-time and adjunct instructors who've taught within the last year. We didn't include hybrid this time because hybrid is a little difficult to define. So we stuck just with online, those who had taught online-only courses. And we got a decent response out of that and some really good information from what they told us. And here's just a couple highlights of what those instructors said. A recurring theme was student engagement in one way or another, either getting your students to engage with each other in discussions on the discussion board or to engage with course content. So that was definitely something that they considered challenging. And also this idea of taking what you do face-to-face in a classroom and translating that into the online environment. That doesn't happen automatically. It's more than just putting your slides out there in order to make it an engaging experience for students. So many instructors found that challenging. So here's some of the training that instructors desired. A really big one was, how do I kind of spice up my lectures or my content that I put online? And multimedia seemed to be a theme. They wanted to add things like video or screencasting or something like that. That was a pretty big response. And just making activities that students will engage with. So those were pretty important themes from the survey. So taking that into account, I decided to do a workshop for Professional Development Day tomorrow for online, specifically for online instructors. Any instructor could take it really, but it's specifically designed for online instructors, and it's how to do screencasting. Do you all know what screencasting is? You've seen screencasts before. It's if somebody has something on their computer and you see their mouse moving and you hear their voice, it's like a how-to video is what it is. You probably see them on YouTube. Well, they can be very useful for online teaching too. So what I did was earlier in the semester, I did a little how-to workshop with the online learning committee members and had them make a little video tour of one of their courses. So like if you're just starting the class, here's your teacher telling you where to go and how to find stuff. Let me show you just a clip of a few seconds from one that was made by Tina Hulker. Is Tina here? She said I could show you. So. Sorry, it's a little bit quiet, so I'm going to turn the volume up here. Okay, so this is Tina showing you a little bit in one of her courses.
We do in each unit. There are lectures that you will click on that will show you the content for different focuses and different areas that we're discussing at any given time. And you open those and read them completely. There will also be links for PowerPoints to view, discussions for each week, and any quizzes or tests that we're taking. So once you've familiarized yourself with the content of the course, I'd like you to...
That's just a little sample, but you get the idea. So she created that in our little 1-hour session, and I didn't give them a lot of time. I just kind of wanted them to get a crash course on how to do this. And a number of them really liked the idea, so Dr. Kantner asked me to do something similar for Professional Development Day, so that's what I'm going to do tomorrow. So those of you who visit, you'll see more about that. That's the breakout session that I mentioned here. So that's one thing that I've done is the Professional Development Day workshop. I'm also working this semester on an online instructor toolkit. Joanne asked me to develop something that online instructors could go to just as a reference tool, kind of. Where can I find best practices for how to facilitate online discussions, or how can I develop more engaging learning activities, or whatever. So it'll be like a little website. It'll probably be hosted in MyKC, and it's just going to be an informational tool for online instructors. And we'll probably build and add to it as we go. And then the other piece of what I'll be doing is face-to-face support, because it's good to have an online tool that you can refer to anytime, but really, sometimes you need somebody, just an extra brain, in the room with you to help you sort through ideas or hash out, or just a different set of eyes on your course or something. And so I'll be providing that too. One of the needs that I saw in the survey was replicating that dynamic on-campus experience. How do you make that online course more than just text on a screen or flipping slide? How do you make it more dynamic and engaging? And so for that, really, you kind of need somebody there with you to help you. In order to do that, at some point, I'll be offering a certain amount of my time during the week for office hours of some sort. We haven't figured out how that's going to work exactly together with my library duties and such, but there'll be some opportunity for some help for online instructors. And finally, one thing that I decided was a good idea, I submitted a proposal for some foundation innovation funds this year to create, or to put together a little creator studio up in the, I always forget what to call it, not the Teaching and Learning Center, Learning Commons, which is the room up there where a lot of adjunct instructors have space to use. There's a little classroom in there, and you can shut the door, and so it's a good space if you wanted to go in there, create video content or something, and I could be there with an instructor to help them. So I submitted some funds for some good high-end software for creating multimedia and a microphone and stuff like that. So hopefully there will be a space for instructors also to receive support. And that's kind of it. Do you have any questions for me about instructional design, online learning? Yes?
I have a comment for you, and for people who weren't at the board meeting last night. He had a technological glitch with his video ready to play, and he did a perfect teaching moment. Smoothly talked about how the difference between instructional technology, which is RJ who fixed the glitch, versus instructional design, which is what Tim does. So that was excellent. It's almost like it was planned. So you
It wasn't, though. It wasn't, but it worked out. And I probably should point that out because that may not be clear. There's a distinction between what I'm doing right now, what RJ and Brooke and others do with the technology like what I'm using up here, and with what Brian Magnuson does with our learning management system. So they're really distinct things. There's some overlap, those things overlap, but they are distinct. My role mostly is the teaching part, the teaching and learning part. What strategies can you use to enhance your course? And so Brian and I certainly will be working together on things, but our jobs are different. So does that make sense? Yeah. Anything else? Yeah.
I just wanted to give a kudos from Disability Services. Tim's just setting all this up, and he's already embracing what does he need to look at with accessibility on the front end rather than having to redo it on the back end. So we already laid an improvement.
Great. And that's a challenge because when I first trained, that video that you saw a minute ago was created with a free piece of software that's real easy to use, and the instructors loved it. The problem was after I trained them on it, I realized it doesn't do closed captioning. And I thought, oh no, because we have to have that for accessibility. So that's why tomorrow I'm training instructors on a piece of software I've used for years called Camtasia. It's a trial version that they're going to be trying out, but that program will do all the captioning and everything right in that piece of software. So it's a challenge to make our content accessible, but it's necessary. And I think it has to be something that's kind of built into what we do. And with the rubric that I mentioned, that's something that would be there too. Always in mind building for accessibility, not just for people who have sensory disabilities, but for all learners. Captions make a difference. Not just people who are deaf. Did I say it right there? I didn't mess up. Yes, who are deaf will use captions. So it's for everybody. Anyone else? Thank you.
Comment that I shared with the board last night too, how I feel about this whole initiative, this online initiative. It's just so heartwarming to see how the faculty have embraced our desire to increase online learning opportunities for our students and have really taken a hold of it and shared their expertise and come forward and have just said, okay, how do we do this? How do we work together to grow online learning for our students? It was very timely because right before the board meeting started, Gabrielle Cultra, our student trustee, was sharing, she's graduating in May, and she was sharing, they were talking about her transitioning to Iowa State in the fall, and they asked if she was going to take any summer classes at Kish, and she said, no, actually I'm taking one at SAUC. And she said, I'm really sorry, but they're offering an online class that I need that can transfer, and Kish isn't offering it online this summer. So even our students who are here every day, who are our leaders, still oftentimes, and she talked about her work schedule, and because of when it's offered face-to-face, it wasn't going to work in her work schedule. So it's just so important that we are able to serve our students with online instruction because of the nature of the world we all live in. So again, it was just perfect timing. to say, yep, this is what we're doing, we're working on it, we're trying to get there. So kudos to everyone who is out there working on moving this initiative forward. It is really going to be helpful to our college. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Kevin to just talk a little bit about something that's going on, and if you want to talk about the 5-year plan too, you're welcome to.
So yesterday I talked to the board a little bit about one of the things that ICCB likes us to do, and is to do a 5-year financial projection. So you might think, well, geez, it's hard enough to do a 1-year one with all the unknowns. But so if you saw that in there, what we just tried to do is make some assumptions regarding enrollment and where we think state funding is going to be. We've talked here, we've talked at the board level about one of the key things that we're trying to do is to reduce the college's reliance on state money for operations. And so we've taken the budget down, we've had to take the budget down based on what we've been getting from the state. We're going to continue to do that going forward until that no money from the state is used for operating dollars, for our salaries and benefits, so that we're not relying on every year we have this, this big question about what it's going to be. We will then use the money that we get from the state, if any, for capital projects and for things that we need to do around kind of what we call like the below the line information. So we presented a plan for them, and of course it's difficult to come up with assumptions, but we just made some pretty conservative assumptions regarding where we think enrollment's going to go, where we think property taxes are going to go, just to give the board a sense of if these assumptions come true, here's what tuition increases might be. And so if you've looked at that document, you'll see that, it was a 5 years, so by the time we get to FY22, we would be looking at a $2 increase. And FY21, I think it was $8. So it just gives them a sense of if these things come true, here's how it would impact tuition going forward. So we talked to the board about that. And what was the other one you wanted me to? Yeah. That's right. How can I forget about the net? So I think everybody knows we have a net that protects the drivers on Route 38 from getting hit by baseballs from our baseball field. And so this year, as maybe if you've noticed if you've driven by it, the net has holes in it. And so we've called a company to come and fix those holes for us. And so they were out, and kind of because the net is very high, as you know, they took some high-resolution photos so that they can give us an estimate for how they might repair it and how much it would cost. And so in the course of doing that, they let us know that they wouldn't be able to give us a quote to fix the net because, in their opinion, it's beyond repair. So in the last 24 hours or so, thanks Kathy Jones and other people who have gotten me information about the original contract that we had back in, that net was completed back in 2013. So met with Keith today. Keith is right there. And so we're going to be reaching out to the company probably today or tomorrow to let them know this is what we discovered and to get their first reaction about how it might be able to be resolved. There's some warranty involved in there. So just so you know, so the baseball team obviously isn't able to play on the field. They can practice because there's a cage there, but in terms of having games there with the big open spots in the net, we're just not able to do that. And if you look closely, you'll see that not only is the section that's got the big gaping holes there, but you can start to see in the next 3 sections, the same thing is going to happen here pretty soon. So anyway, we updated the board on that too, and so we'll be updating them as we hear more information about how we go about getting that fixed.
So last night at the board, Lori had asked if the athletics group and the childcare would give just an update on where things are at for this year going forward. Scott has been with us since January, and the net has just been one more thing that he's had to deal with. He's done a great job of getting the games rescheduled at different areas. Him and Josh have been working on that, and we'll continue to finish that. We were hosting regionals this year. We're going to postpone that, and somebody else will take that on for us, and we'll just work at getting the net fixed for next year maybe. So, but at the athletic update last night, about a year ago, Lori and the board had asked that we look to increase our in-district student athlete population to at least 50% for this year. The long-term goal is 75%, but for this year it was 50%. And since Scott has been here, he's been working with the current coaches, just recently hired a volleyball coach, so we will have volleyball this fall, working on getting some athletes signed up for that right now. We are at 54% verbal commits for this coming year in district. So that's a good thing. Now we have to turn those verbal commits into letter of intents and figure out all of that. But in that whole process, Scott has been, he hosted with many of you in the room, I believe Keith and many from financial aid, some new foundation hosted financial aid assistance scholarship activities. We had over 41 people attended those, and that's to really help offset the scholarships that they get from us and also offer them an opportunity to get other opportunities that the college has and make sure that they're filing for their FAFSA. He's also actually working on creating a coach's orientation, and as he called this morning, a playbook. Some of the things that we've endured since January will be in there, and we'll kind of know that we'll be working to improve those for next year. He's currently recruiting a women's basketball coach. We have a team, or actually a verbal commitment for a team. We need a coach. So if anybody knows anybody, please send them Scott's way. Samantha did get an ad in the paper tomorrow, so hopefully, or today, that was yesterday, and hopefully we'll see somebody from the community. It is a part-time position. People will probably work full-time somewhere else and then come here and help coach with that, but we're hoping to have that up and running for next year as well. On the intramural front, today was our second one. He hosted the table tennis, the first one, the bags tournament. Many of us in the room participated in that one. We've got one more coming up, the 3-on-3 basketball, which will take place next week, and it's for students, staff, faculty, anybody that wants to participate and is able to. The bags tournament was pretty fun. There were students and staff, and we just all had a good time and lost because I played a team that plays bags all the time, but it was good. It was fun. It was all good fun. So that's athletics. So great job to everybody that's been helping with that, and many of you in the room have been helping Scott get things up and running for that. Secondly is the child care. Every year, Steve, is he in the room? I know he's probably in the classroom. Steve has to go to the board with what he's going to do for the next year's proposal for fee charges. And he did some research, assuming that many of the other child care facilities in the area are going up 5%. That's what our college child care facility is going up as well. It's a $2 increase for a full day rate for 5-day, and a $2 increase for a 1 to 4 day as well, and then a 40 cents an hour if you take your children there for an hourly rate. The statistics that was really good to see was that about 45% of the children there come from our student population. 7% is from our employees, and the other 40% is from the community. So we have quite a few people from our community, and maybe they started here as when they were students and just continue to bring them here. So that's great. And then all of these changes being said, he was able to come up with a balanced budget for this year. The one thing we got to do there is increase his current enrollment by about 5 full-time students. So everybody's an advocate for our child care center, so if you know anybody that's looking for somewhere for their children for the summer or fall, just last week when we were putting this together, he got calls for 3 new children, I keep saying students, 3 new children, and that really helps keep his enrollments up. So if you can help him out that way, that'd be great. Thanks.
The big box. Hi there. The board also heard a brief report last night about the Awards of Excellence program, and I had an opportunity this year to participate in helping organize that, and it was very rewarding for me. We brought to the board recommendations from 4 different employee groups: full-time faculty, adjunct faculty, support staff, and other professional staff. And I'm happy to say that the board approved recommendations, and here they are. May I? Okay. In the category of full-time faculty, Pernevelyn Ellis has been awarded that excellent notification. And under adjunct faculty, Dr. David Paulson was the nominee and also was approved by the board. Support staff, Tracy Comadina. Are any of these people in the room? Excellent. And other professional staff, Joe Dom. Joe Dom has been working. Is Joe here? We're excited. We're going to have an official award ceremony on May 5th at the annual Employee Appreciation event, and looking forward to that, and I hope you can all attend. Thank you.
Sorry, I was going to try and put the invite up, but as Bill mentioned, that on May 5th, we have the end of the year employee event celebration. And again, this year it will be at Hopkins Park in DeKalb, and it will start at 4:30 in the evening or afternoon with appetizers, and then we'll have a full buffet dinner, and then Dr. Borowitz will give out the service year awards, and we will honor our retirees for the year. And Bill will also recognize the Awards of Excellence and the Innovation Awards at the event. There will be live music, decorations. It'll be a nice event, so I encourage you all to attend. The cost for employees is only $10, and you can bring guests as well, and those are $10 too. If you're an honoree, it is complimentary. Lori sent out an email invite earlier this week that had the link to the Eventbrite website where you can just register online. If you prefer to pay cash or check and you want to take it to the business office, you can do that as well. Sorry, we forgot to include that in the notification, but you can do that as an option, and we've worked it out with the business office that they'll just let us know when you RSVP that way. So again, hopefully encourage you all to attend. It is a lovely evening, and it's just a nice way to kick off the end of the year and celebrate it with colleagues. Any questions on the end of year event? No? Anyone gonna go? Yay! Sure. What's the attire? Business casual? Yeah. Whatever you are comfortable in. It is Cinco de Mayo. So, and if anyone wants to plan to go for margaritas afterwards, I'm game. Any other questions? No? Okay, so I just have one other thing just want to touch base on. Tomorrow is Faculty Staff Development Day. There is a new agenda, updated agenda that is posted on my KC that we had to do a couple changes to some of the rooms for the breakouts. So that is out on my KC. We will have it posted on the doors as you enter in here as well. But just for inquiring minds, the rooms that are changing are during the breakouts. So we have the customer service with Harold Boger. Did I say that right, Melissa? Yeah, okay. He will be in A1273, which will be in the dining room right here. We have Mimeo training with RJ and B1201. Budget and accounts with Jill Hansen in A1374. My KC 101 and page management, which will be in A1221, which is the computer lab right over there. Basic tips and tricks with Word and Excel with Tammy will be in A1365. And then instructional design with Tim in A1338. So those are just some kind of minor room changes for tomorrow. Otherwise, we will meet outside in the atrium right here at 8 a.m. tomorrow with some light refreshments, and then we'll come in here for the general session, and then we'll have a break, accreditation with Mark, Then we'll go to the breakouts, and then we will have lunch that is provided by HR, so thank you to Sam and her team for coordinating that. And then we'll come back here where we will have another follow-up presentation from Don Thomas, and then we'll break into staff department meetings. So that is the whirlwind of the day tomorrow, but it'll be a great day, lots of good information that will be shared. Any questions on Staff Development Day? Yes.
I just want to encourage everyone. During the lunch hour, we're also going to have our tenure track faculty, our new tenure track. They have been doing capstone projects, and they're going to have kind of like a poster research display of them. So please come and ask them about their projects and visit each of their tables. Thank you.
One other thing I just want to note, I know last year that there were some concerns that there were still people walking around the building not realizing that the campus was closed. So we are putting signs on all the doors, the main entrance doors, that says, the college is closed, offices are closed for our business for the day. Besides Melissa's DECA harm meeting in the Student Center. We actually talked about putting something up there to make sure that people knew the DECA harm was over there. So you're welcome. I believe it's been on social media, but we can certainly look at setting out a text alert as well, just to remind students that the campus is closed for classes. Anything else? Okay, thank you.
Okay, one other thing that we did do last night was we approved professional staff. The board approved. I didn't approve. The board approved. We submitted for proposal. Professional staff salaries and titles for next year. There are a few changes. There are some people, for example, Kevin, who's been doing work beyond institutional effectiveness, so we changed his title to more match what he's doing. Joanne is getting a new title, which I know a number of you know, and Michelle Rothmeyer, we're dropping the interim, and she's going to stay the VP of Student Services. So there are those changes. I don't know what past practice is for how people get notified of those. They were in the board packet, correct? So they were in the board packet, but Cindy has information. If anyone is looking for copies of it, you can certainly get it from her. It's all open information, so if anyone is interested in seeing that. And if you have any questions, always feel free to ask. Email me, ask me why someone's getting what they're getting. Some people are getting raises. For example, Joanne, we're not hiring a dean to back up Joanne from the vacancy she created, so some people had to get new titles to cover it because the work's got to be done. So things like that. But always ask questions, feel free. I'm happy to answer those. We have a new trustee. I mentioned Gabrielle is moving on. She's graduating. We have a new trustee that was sat last night. His name is Philip Oliver. A very interesting young man. He's been on our campus for a semester. He came out of the military. He was in the Army for 6 years. He shared that he did 2 tours in Afghanistan. So he brings an interesting perspective. And I think he's going to be a great student representative. So we're excited to start working with him. The only other thing that I wanted to talk about is there were a couple of things that I mentioned at the end of the board meeting last night that I think are really important. And Dave, I see you look different today. You cut your beard, cut your hair. I hardly even recognized you when I turned around. Spring cleaning. But Dave and I really had a nice conversation last week, and monthly I try to meet with the union leadership, and Dave and I were just talking. We like to talk about the culture of the campus and kind of what's going on from their perspective. And he shared with me something that I thought was very interesting, that for the kind of the history of Kish, how people really gauged if we were being successful as a college was on our enrollment numbers. And so was sharing that people, while we're working really hard, everybody's working really hard, everybody's doing more work, with less people and trying to do new things, because new things is a lot of work and we're doing a lot of new things, that people are feeling like, are we getting anywhere? We're not growing enrollment, so how can we say that this is all working out? And so it gave me pause to recognize and realize that we have got to start talking about the successes of our college. Back probably five to 8 years ago, there was a national trend that started with higher education across the United States, and it was this focus on student success. And I was really lucky to be a big part of that in the state of Wisconsin. I actually got to lead it for our technical college system in Wisconsin. And it really was looking at the metrics of how you define success for college students and how you define success for colleges. It used to be, prior to the student success movement, it was enrollments, it was access, and I hope all's okay. And it was just people being able to get into the door. That was the push. That changed. That paradigm changed, and now truly how colleges need to look at themselves and define themselves is based on student success metrics. And you probably heard of a lot of states going to performance-based funding. I know Illinois has it on the books, but because we don't get money from the state, we really haven't implemented it here. But other states have a lot of this in their, how they get reimbursed from the state is based on these the student success metrics. And so we're gonna start working on that here at Kish. One of the things that I wanna do is start a dashboard that kind of gives the board the indicators when they change, of things like, how are we retaining our students? How are students graduating from our college? How are they doing in job placement? How are they doing in transfer? There's even resources such as the National Clearinghouse that we can look at, so that after they leave Kish and they transfer, how do they complete at that institution? So there's a lot of really great things that we do at Kish, and those are the things by which we should be measuring ourselves, and not just enrollments. Now, are enrollments important? Well, sure they are, because that's dollars. There's dollars attached to those students. But I'm telling you, it's a heck of a lot easier to keep your students than to get new students. So retention, actually, in my book, if you're retaining your students at a higher rate, that's a better metric than getting new students in through the door. So I think we're gonna start talking about that, because I think it's really important that we talk about the success. And I apologize, I started to look at Matt's fact book and I just ran out of time this morning. But our enrollments, you all know our enrollments since 2012 have dipped about 27%. However, our graduation rate has not. And that's a really good thing. So the raw number of students we graduate has not dipped 27%. In fact, it's probably dipped about 12%. So what does that mean? Well, that means that those students who come here are graduating at a much higher rate. That's a really good thing. And we don't talk about that. So when I do my letter to the editor this month, I'm gonna start talking about our other metrics and our other things that are really important for us to be looking at, so that how we define that we are a successful college. And I truly believe that as we start to focus on that and the success of our students, and we start telling that story in our communities, our enrollments will follow. Because everybody wants to be part of something that's successful. And so we, again, have to continue to send that message. So I'm excited about that. I think the conversation, again, thank you, Dave. I think that conversation kind of got me thinking, yeah, we've been so focused on that. We've been so focused on the money and the dollars, and we still are. But folks, you have done an awesome job of being conservative with your spending and understanding what we can and cannot do because of the resources we don't have. Kevin just shared with me, because of our weather this winter, we did really well on our gas bill. Those are all good things for us going forward. And so that just helps us in the long run. And we need to still continue to focus on that. And we're not going to be adding positions, and we're not going to be doing that kind of stuff, except when someone leaves. Again, we've talked about that. Someone leaves, we maybe put a new person in a different role. Missy's a good example. Michelle moved into Sedgwick's position. Well, instead of just hiring Michelle the way she was, we hired someone in pathways and transfer and working with our K-12s, because that's what we've got to do right now. So, because those are our initiatives. Those will be the areas that we will be able to help our students succeed and continue to grow the college. So thank you for that, and continue to do that, and always good ideas are always welcome. And just the feedback. You know, sometimes you think just a casual conversation or just a random thought doesn't have a big impact, but this just goes to show how sometimes it's those little casual conversations that really spur on the change. I remember being at a business workshop once, probably about 20 years ago, and it was some CEOs talking about angel investing and how you get entrepreneurship. And they were saying that the most creative, the best ideas don't come out of boardrooms and formal meetings. They come out of coffee shops, and they come out of casual conversation. And I couldn't agree with that more, because that's when your creativity kind of can flow and you can just have free-flowing conversation. So continue to do that kind of stuff and continue to share great ideas with others. Or even if just a random idea, sometimes you think it's kind of a silly idea and it turns out to be a really good one. One other thing I just want to mention, because I think that this is really important, and I think its time has just come, is that we are going to soon have academic advisors at Kishwaukee College. We are in the process of looking at our model of how we serve students. We've got students now assigned pretty much by Alpha, I believe, right, Michelle? Where'd you go? Where'd you go? There. Alpha and healthcare and CT. But as I've read more about trends in student success and things that other colleges are doing that have really been supportive of students, is this idea of having someone who you know you go to, your go-to person from the minute you walk in the door until you leave at the end and where you're going. So we're going to start we're going to get 2 academic advisors going, and one is, and some of it's going to be a shift in titles, and I don't know, I'm not privy to all the conversations, so I'm not going to say names today, but someone who's an existing person on our staff right now is going to have a title switch to academic advisor, and their role in that academic advisor is anyone who indicates when they come through our doors that they want to transfer to Northern or Western, because we're starting a new partnership with Western online programs. Anyone who says they want to transfer to those colleges will be assigned to this academic advisor. And that student knows from the day they walk into the door at Kish that that's the person who's going to help them. And that's the person who's going to help them know what classes they need to take specifically for their program. And Missy will work on the pathways with this advisor and get the paperwork part of it and help the student and make those connections right into the university and have those relationships. And I know our student trustee mentioned last night about that he is glad to hear that, because one of the things I have heard since I got here is, oh, I was transferring and I took classes I didn't need. We're going to stop that. We're not going to hear that conversation anymore, because our students are going to know when they come in the door exactly who their person is, who's going to help them pick their classes, to know exactly how they transfer. And we're going to have those pathways, which are on our web for particular majors. So that's one. And the other area, and we're actually going to post for this, it's going to be a CT advisor. Our CT students have unique needs because of how they come into our college and what they're doing here and graduating. So we will be posting a job for a CT academic advisor. So we're in the process. I know it took me a whole lot longer to get to this point, but I'm about how we reconfigure to serve our students, but I think we're getting there. And of course, resources is an issue, but I think we've got a good model now, and we're moving forward on that, and I am really excited. This is definitely my passion. I think all of you know I was a high school guidance counselor, so helping in a previous life, so helping students find their way and find what they want to be. It is foundational. It's how I started in education, so it is so critical to me, and I'm really excited for this to happen. And we are going to help those undecideds the minute they walk in the door, and they are going to have a plan, and we're going to help them on their way. And I'm not going to be out in the community hearing anymore about, I took classes I didn't need, because there's just going to be so many great resources to help students that they won't be saying that anymore. So it's very exciting, and I'm looking forward to that, and I'm sure others of you are as well. So again, people love to be part of something successful. I've asked Matt, in the spirit of coming up with some good indicators to make us all feel good about what we do every day, he's found some. And I've asked him if he would be willing to share those with you. And then from that, we're going to roll into good news. So, Matt?
I'll come up here, everybody else has. All right, how's it going? Okay, so yeah, Lori said something specifically at the board meeting last night that caught my ears. Not that I'm not laser focused in on everything you guys talk about at the board meeting, but specifically she said to the tune that, enrollment, though very important, tied to the dollars, we all know that, it's not a student success metric. It's not a representation of once they're here, everything we're doing with them until the time they walk out. So she asked me to look up some stuff that's changed and happened, and I know though all of you have pored fervently over my key indicators and know all this, allow me to just hit some highlights. One of the things we track in there is course retention and success. Many of you knew that this was a hard-fought battle for us for a long time. Last year, it was the first year that in our key indicators, we moved to green on this metric. In other words, we beat out the national benchmark. It was also the first time that our fall-to-fall persistence, the proportion of students who were here in fall of 15, who came here in fall of 17, again, or I'm sorry, in fall of 15, and then came into us in fall of 16, again, beat out the national benchmark. Also, there's this little thing called completion rates, which can be impacted for a number of reasons, depending on what students' intention is here. But there, it's a battle, and students transfer out and so on. But at one point, our completion rates were around 16%. iPads released what our completion rates were in the most recent cohort. Everyone get your gambling figures in before I say. But in the most recent data shows that our completion rate in the most recent cohort was 28%, which is a 5-year high. So, there's lots to be observing on, and the college really, for student performance indicators for when we get them, have been doing quite well. There is still the battle with math and English remediation. I always got to pepper in the thing to work on, me. But there's also other things at the college that I just want to remind people of, and this is going to turn into a bit of a plug, so forgive me. But the Noah Levitt Student Satisfaction Survey, which you guys have heard me bring up a number of times. Between spring of 11 and spring 15, the last time we administered that, this college statistically improved in 11 different metric items on that, in what students say they are happy with us doing as a college. That is phenomenal. That and the college's improvement in that led to Noah Levitt's asking us if we would, as a college, demonstrate how we implemented and talked about it and use those metrics to improve. So there's definitely a lot that's really being done well. And like I say, the point where I turn this into a plug is, guess what on Monday is going to be in students' email box? This spring 2017 Noah Levitt Student Satisfaction Survey. Thank you to my IE Advisory Committee and senior leadership for helping me with the item adjustments, but we've got that ready to go. And 2 minutes before I walked in here, I set it up for launch. It will be in student email boxes, and marketing has been awesome as always, going to help me get the word out. But nothing is more powerful and potent than the words of faculty, especially, but everyone here. So please, if any chance to talk to a student you have, mention it, and I appreciate it. 3 will get a $100 Visa check card, and that's it.
So for those of you who were here last month, you might remember that Dariana talked about her sister getting her degree. And today I had the good fortune of having a celebratory lunch with Lucretia, who has completed her master's. So sometimes it's good to talk about this stuff, right? She took me to a new restaurant I hadn't even heard of, so that was really a nice experience. So on that note, what have we got that's positive to talk about?
Good afternoon. 3 rounds of congratulations to members of the Math, Science, and Business Division. So the first is to a longtime biology adjunct faculty member, Claire Crone, who just completed her PhD in biology. So that's really wonderful for her. The second is this weekend with many members of the math department, I attended the Illinois Mathematics Association of Community Colleges annual conference. And at that meeting, faculty member Kira Ryder was elected as a board member of IMAC. And the third, I have mentioned him before, but I think last month or the month previous, I had noted that Everett Westmeyer was nominated for the Illinois CPA Society Outstanding Educator Award for 2017, and we just found out a couple weeks ago that he was selected. So round of applause for Everett. So Everett will receive his award in June, and that's what I have, so thank you.
Good afternoon. I have a few congratulations and thank yous as well. The Kishwaukee College speech team, the Speaking Cougars, wrapped up their season just a few weeks ago up at Northwestern. And out of the 24 teams that were competing at the National Speech Championship Tournament, Kishwaukee got second in the community college division. So that was very exciting, yeah. One of our students, Courtney, made it into the novice final round where she gave a speech to entertain. So that was very exciting that one of our students was also featured in the finals. So that was great. I also want to thank all of you who went and painted a square on the diversity mural. This was a really wonderful effort on campus, too. I just wanted to acknowledge it and thank everyone who was a part of it, including the art department, who Miles created the template that everyone painted from. And if you wondered where it was going to go, we're looking for a spot, but it's going to be installed somewhere on campus very soon. So thank you to everyone who participated in that. Another thank you, I would like to thank those folks who helped to produce the Chameleon this year. We did the Chameleon a little bit differently. It was actually produced in-house for the first time, so Connie Kesson and her crew helped to print and bind and get it going in the right direction. Katie and her folks, which would include Rhonda, who did a gorgeous layout for the Chameleon. And then, of course, Nate Gordon, who worked with the students to get all the entries prepared. That was a cost-saving effort for us this year, but the Chameleon looks gorgeous, and it was just unveiled yesterday at the student award ceremony. So if you haven't gotten a copy, you can either contact Nate or you can swing by our office, but it really looks fabulous. So thank you to everyone who was helpful. And then one last thing, I'll just kind of do a quick little mention of the awesome things happening in the gallery, the art gallery. This last week, we had a poetry reading, but it was a little bit of an interesting collaboration between different areas on campus. We have our creative writing students that were writing poetry in their class with Amy Ehrman. They wrote a poem. Then Miles Halpern had his students in their drawing and painting classes who made a visual representation of said poem. So the two of them got together and they had a wonderful display. And then some of you in here even read poems at the poetry reading earlier this week, celebration of National Poetry Month. So thank you very much for everybody who participated.
Well, I have a couple of, well, a few, because it's more than two, kudos. One goes to Betty and Melissa Gallagher for coordinating and having the youth program for WIOA and adult program meet with the individuals at Oakcrest to tell them about our health department and the programs in which that we have. That was really good. The other ones are for Greg Brink and also for Penelope Ellis. They both brought down students. Greg brought down students from the that's interested in a collision program for the fall, and Penelope brought down a couple of other students as well. So just trying to help them as far as financial assistance goes, because if people don't know, we do have money on campus to help students, and they just increased the WIOA training ITA dollar amount from $6,000 to $10,000. So we could potentially help students in both the youth program, which is here on campus, and the adult program that's off campus. So thank you.
Do you have a big poster in financial aid or anything?
We did. It might need to be updated.
Oh.
They usually let me put some little half cards and put stuff up there, but we'll look at the poster again.
Yeah, I think we need a, really, we. I think that's probably just a really well-kept secret. And so just, again, making sure we get the word out. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Betty. Betty, you were next. Okay. Mine actually kind of builds on what Dariana was talking about. I'm Billy Tierney. I'm housed mostly at the Illinois WorkNet Center. But to go along with what Lori was saying about the success of the college, I get the beauty of seeing that. Part of our job is to follow them once they finish training to get them employment. And so we get to see the wages. We get to actually see the success of all the hard work that's done here. So I just wanted to share that because that's a big part. You're making a difference in this world. Okay.
actually need my phone because this morning when I was walking in, I ran into Sandy Plesha, who runs our early childhood education program, the certificate program. And she had with her an award that she had received last night through the DeKalb 4Cs. And I took a picture of it and wanted to make sure I shared it. And she looked at me and she said, and this is directly on behalf of the work that I have done at Kishwaukee College. That is what they talked about, because Sandy's been with us for about 20 years. So this award, it's the 2017 Marion Baker Award for Excellence in Child Care. And then it tells a little bit about Marion Baker, who had passion for child care. But she just kept saying, I didn't even know I was getting it. And all they talked about was the work I do at Kishwaukee College. So our name is out there, and we continue to have great people who represent us. One more thing I want to add, because this was exciting news at our division meeting yesterday, and I want to make sure everybody knows about it. In our aesthetics program, we've been working on trying to bring the KEC over to our complementary health program area, and they got 12 students, which is what we need. So in the fall, there will be 12 students from the KEC who will come over to complementary health. They will get credit for aesthetics, 100, which is 1 credit, PE 162, which is a prereq, and it's first aid, the American Red Cross first aid course. And I'm actually working on seeing if we can get them credit for TPM 100, which is the intro TPM course, which then after they've had that, they can make decisions about continuing on here to get either their aesthetics or TPM licenses. So we are really excited about that, because that's what builds programs and gets those high school students excited about what we do over here. So that's all.
Hello. I do want to just announce and send out a thank you to Master Degree Lucretia Conan and Dariana Maffey and Savannah Washington and Danita Sims and my student worker Chloe Board, because we have the career fair coming up next Thursday, and we actually are full, so we have 60 employers that'll be here on campus. So we're really excited about that. And every year I work the registration desk, and this year Lucretia and I actually chaired it, and it was kind of the blind leading the knowledgeable. So we got that all together, and we're really excited about it. So please encourage students and come on down if you want to talk with employers. We have a really great group coming, and we worked with Tammy and Betty on having more health care, so we have a really good health care representation this year, and we moved it to Thursday so that the healthcare students could come. So we're excited about that as well. So I just want to thank everyone for helping us with that, and I'm going to ask Allison to stand up with me, because she came to my office today, and a few years ago I remember Allison and Silinda Menifee, if you remember her, coming in saying, we found this National Society of Leadership and Success program and we want to do it, what do you think? And I said, why don't you try it? And it's been very, very successful ever since. And then Allison came to my office today and showed me, not on my phone, but in person, that she received an award from NASPA down in Texas. Unfortunately, she couldn't go, for serving the good of the community through the National Society of Leadership and Success. So I just wanted to make sure she was recognized for that today.
All right, it's all very good things. Isn't it fun to be part of something so exciting as Kishwaukee College? It really is great to be here. Remember, there are 6,000 students this year who have chosen to study here. We do very valuable work every single day. We're going to serve those 6,000 who are choosing to be here. I hope you enjoy tomorrow. I can relate. I remember hating staff development days in my past life. I'd be like, oh, this is painful. So we work really, really hard to not make it a painful day. And I think you might even have a little bit of fun tomorrow. So look forward to all seeing you in the morning, and thanks again for all you do. It's a pleasure.